I'm joined by Smilin Sam Alvey, who is getting ready to step back into the octagon this Saturday at UFC 249 when he faces Ryan Spann. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Great to have you back. And I got to imagine you must be really excited to step into the octagon after having your last three fights canceled on you. How excited are you? Can you put it into words?
Yeah, I am so excited. I mean, this is just it has been a long time, maybe the longest time in my career of not having a fight. So to get the opportunity to step back in that cage and open up the world's economy. I'm the first fight on the card. With the ringing of that bell, I will declare that the world's economy is restarting.
I like that. Yeah, and I'm very excited to see you back in there. It has been way too long for all of us MMA fans to watch some fights here. So hopefully this Saturday everything does happen and we see you inside the cage. Tell me about this camp. I got to imagine it's been probably problematic to say the least, trying to fit everything in, and it's got to be much different than what your normal camps are like.
Everyone thinks that, but no, it has been almost exactly the same for me. I still work out 2 to 3 times a day. I've got all the same training partners. It's this whole quarantine thing has really affected nothing on my end. My wife is a little busier because all of our kids, well, we have one kid in first grade now. She's at home all day, but for the most part, the kids have always been with me and my wife anyway. So it hasn't affected me all that much.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Well, hopefully that translates to a good performance inside the cage come next Saturday. Tell me about this Corona monster that you've had on your social media, because I follow you on Instagram and you're on Facebook as well there. So tell me about, how did this idea come about?
Yeah, I was just having some fun. It popped into my head. Everyone's scared of this big, nasty Corona monster. So, well, let's put a face to it. So, I actually just filmed another one this morning. I'm going to be posting this afternoon. And then eventually I'm going to put them all together on my YouTube page. But it's just something fun I've had. My kids love using the camera to film, they like being in it. I have a good time thinking up the different situations that the monster's going to show up. And it's been a good way to pass an afternoon or two.
Sure. Have you said who exactly the Corona monster is, or is that person going to remain nameless?
I've had, I think, 7 or 8 videos. I've had 7 or 8 different monsters. I don't think I've ever had the same monster twice. So
Okay.
they've been bouncing around. I have a lot of kids. I have a lot of kids, and they make great monsters.
That's fantastic. Well, it is very funny. You're clearly a great follow on social media, which I'm sure everyone already knows that. Tell me a little bit, I guess, about your weight cut so far, getting into this fight, because you're going to be fighting at light heavyweight 205. How are you feeling right now?
I feel great. It's actually going to be one of the easier weight cuts I've ever had because I've kind of been on weight for the last 6 weeks. I was supposed to fight March 28th, then that got scrapped. Then I was supposed to fight March 28th in Columbus, that got scrapped. Then I was supposed to fight the 28th in Vegas, that got scrapped. Then I was supposed to fight the 18th in California, that got scrapped. Now I'm fighting the 9th here in Florida. So I've really been on weight for the last 6 weeks, just about. I've been trying to eat more to make sure I don't lose it all too fast. I've got about 15 pounds to go, and it should be easy.
That's great to hear. Just tell me, not to get too far off of the MMA topic here, but what is your overall thoughts on this coronavirus and just what it's done to our country? Is it something I mean, I know a lot of people, including myself, are frustrated about the way things have played out, but what is your overall thoughts on it?
Well, you're going to get me in trouble every time I open my mouth on this. The internet, Twitter yells at me. Uh, I think the far greater threat is the economic depression that is surely on its way right now. We closed down. We've got 60,000 deaths, I think, in the country. And if in relation, 2 years ago, the 2017-2018 flu season killed 80,000 people. Now, we never heard a word of that. We never closed anything down. We never did anything that was a sickness. Now I understand the coronavirus it's more easily transmittable and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, we are going to kill a lot more people due to depression, the depression. We are going to crush businesses. We have been crushing businesses. Thank God for the UFC. The UFC has stayed strong. They're staying safe. They're doing everything as right as can be done. Um, and I hope that they just lead by example. I hope they show the world how safe we can be while trying to be. we're going to keep I hate the term social distancing. As soon as this whole stupid thing is over, next person that says the word social distancing, you're going to get punched in the face. Hate that term, but we will be able to show how a professional sport can social distance. We will keep everyone safe. We will make sure there's no outbreaks anywhere else. And I really admire the UFC for being able to pull off what they're pulling off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What is your, I guess, gut feeling on how things are going to transpire throughout the rest of 2020? Like, when do you think things are going to get more back to normal, or you'll be able to compete in front of fans?
The fans thing, I have no idea. It depends on the state. As big and as blown out of proportion as everyone has made this, I really don't know. But I think it's a good step this May 9th. Stepping into that octagon with UFC, I think they're going to be able to really show the world that we don't have to be as scared of this. We have a better idea. We've got some good drugs coming out. I know everyone's anticipating the second wave of this coming, but I think there have been so many more people that have had this and have built the immunities to it, and that the second wave might be just a small fraction of what this first wave was. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that people are willing to recognize it as a problem that we can deal with.
Now, I know it's not fight night yet, but we're getting close to that point. I got to imagine that you've been thinking about what it's going to be like to fight, in front of the nation, but no fans there in attendance. Have you given a lot of thought to that, or are you just going to try and figure it out as you go?
I've done it once before. When I was on The Ultimate Fighter, to get into the house, we fought in Mandalay Bay, so they could have fit 15 or 20,000 people in the arena. But nobody was there, but me, my opponent, the referee, camera guy, and then the coaches of the season. So I've done it once before. I've got so many fights. I've got 70 something fights, and so pretty much every situation I've done before. And this is just going to be another notch on my belt, another opportunity to go out and prove that I belong in the UFC and I can handle anything.
Yeah, well, we talked before we went live here, and I told you I was at your UFC debut, third row, watching you fight Tom Watson. So you have been a while. That was 6 years ago now. So you've been in this game for a minute. Tell me, just about your overall feelings for just how much it means to you to be competing on the UFC's first event back, and basically, letting the sports world kind of get back to some sense of normality.
Yeah. So I was just bragging about how many fights I have, 70 fights. I've done just about everything. Something I have never done. I have never, not once, been the first fight on a card. This is the first time that I'm the first fight on a card. Thank God it's in the UFC. And I mean, of course, I would have preferred to be the main event, but that was never, that was never in the playbook. I get to be the first fight, the first sport, the first athlete to do anything in the world. I think there was bull riding last weekend. So there's bull riding last weekend, but I'll be on ESPN. I'll be the first athlete in the world. And I'm going to get that victory mic and say, hey, the world is open for business. Let's do this right. Let's, socially distance. Let's keep our space with everyone else. And let's start making some money again.
Now, you are on a 3-fight skid. Do you feel extra pressure to go in there and not only just get a win, but get an emphatic victory here?
You'd think so, because I am perfectly aware if I lose this fight, I get cut. But I don't feel the pressure. Maybe I will backstage. Maybe it'll show up in some way. But I feel so good. I feel so confident, so aware of my skill set. The pressure just hasn't set in. As of right now, I know I'm going to win. I know it's going to be a hell of a fight. I know he is an outstanding opponent, and I know he's going to lose. I love what I do so much. My back's against the wall. I'm going to step up and I'm going to, do what I do best, and that's fight.
Have they told you specifically that you will be cut if you lose?
No, nobody's told me anything, but I've been blessed. This is, that I've lost 3 times. Most people it's 2 times and they get cut. I lost third and they like me. The people like me. The UFC likes me. They think I've got what it takes to be a star and to still put on some great fights and beat some great people. And so I'm going to take the opportunity. They're giving me this opportunity to step up, and step up I shall.
Now, 70 fights in, as we've said, you've been doing this for a while. How much longer do you anticipate yourself fighting and competing at this highest level?
Another 13 years. Uh, yeah, no, I want to be here for a long, long time more. My coach Dan Henderson, he retired at 45. I would like to make it 45 in a day. I want to be able to say I did it longer than him, or was in the UFC longer than him.
How old are you now?
I turned 34 on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Wow. So yeah, we could see you another decade here in the octagon, which would be fantastic. I know a lot of the Smilin Sam fans would love that. Now let's talk about again, this card. You're the first fight of the night. Are you gonna sit back and just be a fan after your fight's over and just watch this? Because this is stacked top to bottom. This is a fantastic card.
Yeah, if I had to be the first fight on any card, this is the one. This is such a fun fight. If I can sit back and just be a fan, that is what I'm going to do. I don't know what the guidelines are going to be. I don't know what the rules are going to be. But if I can be, I'm going to sit back. I'm just going to love every second of this night.
Have they told you about any of the restrictions or what you can or can't do, or is this just going to be one of those things where you'll know more come closer to fight night?
I'll definitely know more closer to fight night. They did send out an email. They told us, the hotel that we're staying at, they're telling us that we're going to have our own practice room, our own space. We're going to be medically cleared the day we get there. We're getting there a day later than we normally do. So they went over the generalness of it. But I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen from that point. I know they're going to try and keep us away from each other as best we can. And you know what, being the first fight or the first anything to happen since this quarantine, I'm sure they're going to be extra strict, extra cautious with us.
Mhm.
And I'm just along for the ride. I'm going to go there. And I'm going to have a good time with it.
Who do you see winning the main and co-main events?
Let's see. I'm going to take Gaethje winning the main event, but that's really just hoping. I like Tony Ferguson, but I thought he was going to get wrecked by Khabib. I didn't think it was a fight worth watching, and I might be the only person in the world to say that. But Gaethje versus Khabib is a fight that really interests me because I don't know if he'd be able to I don't know if Khabib would be able to take down Gaethje quite as easily as he would Ferguson. And then the co-main event, I'm going to go with Cejudo. He's been tearing it up for a while, and as good as Cruz is, he hasn't fought in 2 years. So I'm going to go with Cejudo in that one too.
Yeah, well, I'm not mad at either one of those picks. I actually agree with both of them. Now, tell me why you feel your skill set is going to really translate into a victory over Ryan Spann. How do you feel like you match up with him?
He's a super athlete. I mean, he's 6'5". He's got an 81-inch reach. He's one of those athletes that probably could have played another sport if he wanted to, but he chose to do MMA. And though that's the new breed of athlete that's coming. So it's going to be a tough fight. But at the end of the day, I know I am the toughest opponent he has ever fought. I know he has never fought anyone near my skill set. And I have fought guys as good or better than him before. And I'm just looking forward to getting in there and really showing off, really having a good fight with him. Hopefully we walk away with $50,000 each.
Ooh, that would be very nice. How do you envision yourself getting your hand raised? Do you see a submission win, a knockout? Is it going to go to a decision? What do you think?
So every time I get that question, I tell them all the same answer. I'm going to submit him in the third.
Submit him in the third. Okay. You just feel like you're going to be able to wear him down. Maybe your cardio is at a different level than his.
Yeah, my cardio is second only to maybe Frankie Edgar. But the later the fight goes, usually is to my advantage.
Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you step back in the cage again. You've had those 3 fights scrapped, and now you're finally getting to step back in there. So all of us MMA fans are happy about that. Definitely a pleasure having you back on the show, Sam. Before I let you go, if there's any social media you want to plug or anybody you'd like to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hit me up at Smilin Sam on anything, Twitter, Instagram. I think I'm still on Vines. I do all that stuff, and I love talking to people. I love reaching out. I love people telling me I'm terrible or telling me I'm great. I like discussing stuff on the internet. So hit me up, guys.